Good afternoon everyone and welcome to my first video of Learn with Allison. So as you can see here, this is the Cartesian plane, consisting of the y and the x axes. Now if I were to give you the point A, which is 3, 2, where would you plot this? So in points, x is always first and y is always second. So we look at our x-axis and we go to 3. Place a little dot there. And our y-coordinate is 2, so you'd move upwards until you reach your y-coordinate, which is 2, which is right here. Place a little dot there, and don't forget to name your point, which is A. And that's how you plot a point. Now moving onwards to midpoint. So essentially what a midpoint is just the center of a line, basically. So for a given A is -2, 0, and B is 6, 8 are 2 points. Find the midpoint. So in midpoint we are given a formula which is x1 plus x2 all over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 all over 2. So before we put these coordinates into this formula, what I always like to do is I like to label these coordinates. So the reason why I label these coordinates is, especially if you're in an exam or a test, or even just as simply as doing your homework, the stress can be quite pressuring. I can also relate as well. So I would label each point. It can be annoying, but it will be very helpful because it's just right in front of you. Your coordinates, your points are shown right in front of you. So x1 is -2. So -2 plus x2 is 6 plus 6, all over 2, comma. And the reason why it's a comma is because once we solve for this, there will be 2 numbers in these brackets that will represent as a point. And then y1 is 0, 0 plus 8, all over 2. So, -2 plus 6. -2 plus 6 is 4. So, 4 over 2, don't forget your bracket, comma, 0 plus 8 all over 2, that is just 8 over 2. Now, 4 over 2 is just 2, and 8 over 2 is 4. And that is your answer of the midpoint of this question. Now, moving onwards, we are given the second question. So let's write out our formula again. Now, the reason why I write out my formula for every single question is because there are loads of formulas in geometry. So personally, every time I would do a question, I would write out the formula to remind me, okay, this is what I need to do. This is my formula. That I have my points all written out. But it also gives you an understanding as well. So you don't mix up any formulas or anything like that, because that's how you can go sideways. Anyways, continuing on. y1 plus y2 all over 2. So label your coordinates. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So x1 is 0, 0 plus, now x2 is -2. Now put it in a bracket because now it's not illegal for you to go 0 plus -2. But looking at that, you kind of have to really just look at it and think, okay, what on earth is going on over here? But to make it more clear, you could just say 0 plus bracket -2. This shows that it is much clearer, that you're adding this 0 to this -2. So, and it also makes your work much more cleaner in a way as well, and it's more easier to read in a way. So that's why I'd recommend it. All over 2. y1 is -6 plus, now again, we're going to do a bracket, now -8, because that's y2. -8. All over 2. Now, before I continue this question, there is one thing I would like to mention. Integers. Integers are such an important thing that you need to understand in mathematics because it is everywhere. Integers are everywhere. In geometry, in algebra, and everywhere. So, personally, here is a little saying that might help you learn your integers. So, like signs give plus, and unlike signs give a minus. Now, just looking at that, what do you think that means? Well, essentially, all that it means is like signs. So signs that are the same, a plus and a plus, or a minus will give us a plus. So a plus and a plus will give us a plus, and a minus will give us a minus. Now, you're probably looking at me like, Allison, what on earth are you talking about? Well, let's talk about multiplication terms. For example, if you're given the question, 3 multiplied by 2. Now, you know this bracket represents multiplication, right? So if you're asked this, right, what is 3 multiplied by 2? Well, that's 6. But what if you're given minus 3 multiplied by minus 2? What is that going to equal? Well, they're both minuses. Now, in the saying like signs, so these two are like signs. They're the exact same sign. So will give us a plus. So minus 3 multiplied by a minus 2, that gives us 6. Now, what about unlike signs? Well, unlike signs can be a plus and a minus, which gives us a minus. Or it could be a minus and a plus, that gives us a minus. Now, then again, I sound crazy just saying that, so let me put an example. I'm still going to use this example. So if you're given minus 3 multiplied by 2, what is that going to equal? Well, these are unlike signs because this is minus 3 multiplied by plus 2. So it is a negative multiplied by a positive. So that is going to give us a minus 6. Do you see where I'm coming from? Unlike signs, a minus and a plus give us a minus. Same would go if it was positive 3 multiplied by negative 2 would give us minus 6. So that's just, hopefully it would help you all out with your integers. Moving back to the question, I'm going off topic. So 0 plus minus 2, that's just minus 2, I'm running out of space, minus 2 over 2. And minus 6 plus minus 8. Do you remember our integers? That is going to give us minus 14 over 2. Now we're going to simplify that. Minus 2 divided by 2 is just minus 1. And minus 14 divided by 2 is just simply as minus 7. So that is the midpoint in Cartesian plane. So now we're going to move on to slope. So what is slope? Well, to put it in simple terms, slope is the gradient of a line. So let me do an example. So I have my ruler here and I'm just going to draw a line diagonally. Now this is without any mathematical equations or anything like that, just a random line. I'm going to do line. There we go. Now I'm going to find the slope of it. Now there are two ways to solve for a slope. There is a saying called rise over run, or there's a formula that is y2 take y1 all over x2 take x1. Now that is how to solve for a slope. Now when you're given a graph and a line that is at an angle, usually you'd use this rise over run. So let's use that. How do we solve the rise over run for this slope? So usually you would use a square sheet for this. So I'm just gonna pick any point. I'm gonna pick this point. So rise over run, what it essentially means is you go across the page and up to meet your line. So it's quite hard to understand, but I'm just gonna make a little triangle over there. So I'm going running across. Think of it as you're running across the sheet and you're going upwards. In other words, you could say, for example, now this is just an example maybe to help you with rise over run. If you're on a field and there's a hill and you want to get up to the hill, how are you going to get up the hill? So firstly, you have to run across this field. So here's my little person. You're running across the field and then you have to go upwards the mountain to reach the top. So just think of it as like that. So run is always first. So just make a little triangle. And once you've done so, you can just count the boxes. So there's 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 on run. So let's put so much as we know now into this rise over run. So now we have to figure for rise. So we go upwards from what we counted from run. 1, 2, 3. So now we've used rise over 1, we can simplify that to 3 over 3, that is 1. And that is your slope. It's as simple as that. You literally, and it's not even just from this point. You could even do from this point all the way to that point. Doesn't matter, you are going to get the same answer. Now, let's try the formula way. Now, if you're given the question E, the point E has the coordinates of -2, 4, and the point F has the coordinates of 3, 1, find the slope. So we're going to be using this formula. And again, I'm going to write out my formula. And before I go into the question, what am I going to do? I'm going to label the coordinates. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Now I'm going to put these coordinates into this formula. So y2 is 1. Take. Y1 is 4. All over. X2 is 3. Take. X1 is -2. Now don't put in 3 minus -2 because that just looks odd. Essentially, you wouldn't really know what you're doing. So to put it in a more clear out format, you can just do 3 minus bracket -2. It's clear, it shows that what you're doing. For example, if you're in an exam, it shows the examiner knows what you're doing. So 3 minus bracket -2. And now we're going to simplify. So 1 minus 3, that is -3 all over 3. Now, a minus and a minus, those are like signs. Do you remember the saying that I said earlier? Like signs give a plus. So that is 3 plus 2. So now we're going to simplify that even further, and 3 minus 3, 3 plus 2 is 5. And that is your slope. So that is just a recap, honestly, of what slope is. I'm sure you all know what a slope is. Now we're going to move on to distance. So what is distance? Distance is just the length between 2 points. The question, A is the point -1, 1, and B is 2, 5. Find the distance. All right. So we also have a formula for distance, and I'm going to tell you that right now. So square root bracket x2 take x1, we're going to square that, plus y2 take y1, and we are going to square that also. It is quite a very unpleasing to the eye equation. Now we're going to look at these coordinates and we're going to label them. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Now we're going to put these coordinates into this formula. So x2 is 2, take x1 is -1. Now we're going to put it in brackets to show what we are doing. We're going to put that bracket again, and we're going to square that. Then we're going to do plus y2 is 5, 5 minus, and y1 is 1. And we're going to square that as well. Now before we go in and we take these away and we square it, we are going to fix this. Now I know men and women, everyone can multitask. I'm well aware of that. But in math, nobody can multitask. We are going to take our time when doing this. Do not multitask in math. I am repeating. It is a warning. Do not multitask, because that is usually when people mess up, start getting stressed out. Oh no, where did I go? I got the wrong answer. Where did I go wrong? Do not multitask. So we're going to go onwards. 2 minus minus, like signs. What did I say earlier? That is a plus 1 squared. Now plus, okay, we're just going to rewrite that. 5 minus 1 squared. Now we are going to do that again. So 2 plus 1, that is 3. 3 squared plus 5 minus 1 squared. Well, leave out the squared for now. 5 minus 1, that is 4. And we're going to square that. Now, before you say this is, oh yeah, that's 6. 6 plus 8. We are squaring at the moment. So you may be thinking 3 multiplied by 2. 4 multiplied by 2. It is not. I'm sorry to say, it is not. That is multiplication. But what we're dealing with is squaring. Squaring is taking this number and multiplying itself twice. So as you can see here, 3 multiplied by 3, that is 9. 4 squared, that is 4 multiplied by 4 equals 16 because you are taking a number and you are multiplying it twice. So this is just multiplying. It is an honest mistake. People do get mixed up with it. Do not beat yourself up because of it. It is okay. If you did recognize that was squared, well done. Anyways, 3 squared, that is 9 plus 16. Now, 9 plus 16, that is 25. Now, before we all applaud and say, yay, we finished the equation, this number has a factor, and it can be divisible. So, you can just simplify that a little bit further. Examiners like to see it. Is 5 units. Or if you like to be fancy, you can write the line AB. These two little kind of lines just stand for, it's like a symbol that stands for that this is a line. So line AB equals 5 units. So that is that. Thank you for watching.